You are now tuned in to the Pink Boombox. Thank you for joining me, your host, Big V. I am so excited for episode 2 of the Pink Boombox podcast. I appreciate all of the love that y'all showed to episode 1 and the excitement that y'all continue to show. If you haven't checked out episode 1 of the Pink Boombox, make sure to do that now so you can get all the details and the information you need to know about this podcast. Let's jump right into our Hot 16 for this week. This week's Hot 16 is going to start off with my hot take on Chingy, or rather, the things that y'all had to say about Chingy. So, the blogs posted Chingy looking very debonair, very dapper, very put together. And the comments from predominantly black women, cis heterosexual women, were just atrocious. A lot of the comments were calling him queer, using that P word that y'all ain't got no business using. And I am just it's so sad to see that y'all see a man that takes care of himself, keeps himself clean, dresses nicely, looks like he actually put water and soap between the crack of his ass, and y'all automatically are scared of that and label that homosexual instead of appreciating a man who actually washes his ass and knows how to dress and moisturize and probably doesn't have dirt between his fingernails. Like, it's really strange to see what y'all reject as heterosexual people or people who claim heterosexuality, because something I think we don't wake up enough is a lot of the energy that cis heterosexual men have towards LGBTQ people. A lot of the homophobia comes from a place of curiosity, and the same is the reverse. Those of y'all who claim to be heterosexual women but are always concerned about LGBTQ things, that are always looking to call someone DL, that are so desperate to be in some weird antagonizing wannabe bully exchange constantly with trans women, it just gives you want to know what's tea. Like, it gives you want to explore, and you're frustrated with the people who are doing that because you're repressing yourself. Like, the obsession that y'all have, even with calling men in your dating pool, y'all are pushing men in your dating pool away because they dress too well. Like, and it's always this lie of, we just want them to be honest, we just want them to tell the truth. But I even seen a post of August Alsina, and the post was about him singing a Beyonce song. This is what the post is about. And instead, in the comments, so many women were just talking about his sexuality because he's been open and honest about it. And then y'all wonder why so many men don't want to be open and honest. You say all you want them to do is live in their truth, and then when they live in their truth, you continue to drag them and bully them and harass them for it. So when T.S. Madison said what she said about how y'all directly contribute to this so-called DL crisis that you're so afraid of, and how you are the ones that's keeping it up, that's exactly what she's talking about. These men can't literally, all Chingy was just, he just looked clean. The man looked clean. And the comments were just homophobic. It's terrible, and it's sad to see. And y'all have either really just got to go eat you some box. Like, I don't know, whatever it is that is making y'all become raging homophobes. Whatever repression, whatever curiosity, whatever desperation to explore, whatever it is, fix it. Figure it out. Get it together, because y'all are, it's giving a secondhand embarrassment. And I've never identified as heterosexual. Never. But even I'm fucking embarrassed for y'all, because, like, do y'all not like men? Like, it's confusing. Do y'all not like men? Do y'all not want men to be clean, to present themselves well, and to be attractive? I mean, giving some of the men that, never mind. Anywho, moving on. My next hot take is going to be about the NBA Finals, but more about the Wu Tang performance. I was so excited to see the Wu Tang all together performing at the NBA Finals. It was definitely a good look. I love the performance, and it now has me in a deep urge for 90s artists to come back and really reset the standard, not just when it comes to rap sonically, but also when it comes to rap performance wise. Because what I really appreciate and what I think had the whole world so hooked on Jay-Z's performance at the Roots picnic was that it was the quality of it. It was the fact that it was just about the rap, it was just about the music, it was just about him being on stage, rapping his lyrics, the band being there, an actual band being there, right? And no track playing in the background, but just this man, his lyrics, and the music that comes from those things when they mix together with instruments and people who are also great musicians, right? It was magic that was happening on that stage. And that's what you used to get at rap performances. You used to get magic and not just, you know, cheap tricks that make people go ooh and ah, but really don't give people a musical experience. There's a huge decline in the musical experience of live shows, and a lot of it is because a lot of people can't perform without that backing track, and a lot of people don't even care about, the quality of their performances anymore. They care about how big and elaborate they are and how many props and dancers and how big can the stage be and all of these other things that have nothing to do with the music, the sound, the quality of the performance and the art itself. Like, I saw a clip of somebody, some light skinned man sitting down with some white folks talking about hip hop, and he said that he thought that Jay's freestyle was slam poetry, and it's like, sir, it's called rap. It's called rhythm and poetry. Rhythm and poetry. And that's the problem. Y'all aren't poets. Like, y'all are weird ass reciters who have no originality, no creativity, and you aren't able to perform like a poet is able to capture people with just their words and the way that they present them and the cadence and the story that they're telling. Like, y'all don't have an appreciation for the craft. And when you see groups like the Wu-Tang Clan, okay, when you see rappers like Jay-Z command these stages the same way that they did 20, 30 years ago, it makes you realize, I would hope for most folks that it would bring folks to realize that this is an art, this is a craft, this is an actual skill, and there's techniques, and those things matter. And it's not just about, putting on the most, it's not about putting on the most superficial performance, but it's about putting on a performance that really gives a fuck about the music and about the people who give a fuck about the music. And so I was really excited to see the Wu-Tang Clan pop out for the Knicks NBA Finals, and I actually was excited for the Knicks, even though, if you know me, you know I hate New York. I got a one-sided beef with New York, and it'll never end. But I actually was rooting for New York. I watched Game 5. Was it Game 5 they won in? Yeah, I watched it because I knew it was going to be a historic win if they won, and I was very excited to see them win. I haven't watched NBA. I haven't been into the NBA like that since Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and Butler were on the Bulls starting five, okay? And Daniel Gibson was coming off the bench. That's how long it's been since I've watched basketball. But I've always rooted for New York secretly. I used to be a Carmelo Anthony fan, and so I was happy to see New York finally bring that championship home. And I knew that city was going to be on fire for no less than a week, and they did not disappoint. It actually has been pretty cool to watch from afar the way the city has been turning up and celebrating this victory. So I was so happy to see the, Wu-Tang Clan come out for that and get to be a part of that, and all the other artists and people from New York who get to celebrate their city's victory. I love that for y'all, even though I hate y'all city. Moving on and to my next hot take in our Hot 16 for this week. Patrick Ta has finally issued an apology that is really not an apology. And this is something you seem to specialize in, Mr. Ta. You seem to specialize in doing something incredibly anti-Black, incredibly fucked up and antagonistic to the Black community that devalues Black women and the contributions that they have made to the beauty space and particularly to your brand. And then when you do that fucked up thing, you respond in the worst way possible, worst timing, you say the worst things, and you never really actually take responsibility and accountability for what the fuck you did. And for that, sir, you will go to hell. Everything you do, Patrick Ta. Every fucking thing you do. So if you are not in the Black beauty space online, then you may not know about Patrick Ta Beauty and the way that he created or released this blush that was straight up a direct result of the influence and the impact that the makeup artist Painted by Esther has had in the beauty space online and in the industry, period. She is a celebrity makeup artist for your favorite Black celebs. We're talking about Hollywood icons, legends, goats, it girls, you name it, she's beat their face. And it's notable and because she has a signature blush look that became so popular last year without any tutorials or how-tos. The girls started getting in the lab recreating the Painted by Esther blush look based off of different, everybody says Olandria popularized it, and personally, I knew about Painted by Esther's work before Olandria because, again, she's worked on your favorite Hollywood Black elite, like from Naomi Campbell to Kelly Rowland, Gabrielle Union, like the list goes on and on and on and on. So those of us who actually still pay attention to the work of makeup artists in the industry have definitely been seeing Painted by Esther's work for a while now, but it definitely exploded on the internet with Olandria, and Patrick Ta decided that it was a bright idea to create a blush that is a direct result of Esther's technique. So layering multiple blushes, both in liquid form and powder form, using multiple colors that complement each other, some lighter colors, some darker colors of the kind of shade tone to get this like smooth transition, right? And he trademarked the term transition blush, which is insane because ideally all of your makeup is supposed to transition, right? There's no particular blush that is a transition blush per se. You can use any blush to get the transitional look, to kind of get that seamless blend, right, that Esther gets. And when all of this happened, it was a shitstorm on the FYP because the blush comes out and different creators are getting it in PR, and all of our favorite Black beauty creators for the most part get this in PR, and for the most part all of them make content about this blush, either using the blush or talking about the blush itself. But there was only one creator who caught flack, and I'm talking about heat like hell, was on fire. They was burning my girl at the motherfucking stake. They was burning my girl up about the video that she had made promoting and demoing this blush. And I understood people's anger and frustration, and I also didn't necessarily agree with some of the things that she said, but I was really confused as to why everybody had targeted her so heavily. And I think Patrick Todd issuing this apology really affirms a lot of what I was thinking in the moment, that if people were focusing their energy on the person who actually did the dirt here and found a way to make demands of this brand and get real tangible changes and things, then there wouldn't be such a desire and a need for one person to step up and be a champion. Because when I think about Samira and when I look at the things that she does with her platform, the way she literally uses her platform as activism, right? She recently got Target to lower the price of their plus size underwear because if you fat, you know about the fat tax. It costs more when you fat. And there's always these piss poor, ridiculous excuses that we know are untrue and unfounded. And oftentimes the fat tax happens because nobody says anything and nobody fights back. But Samira speaks out about these things, so much so that all she had to do was make a video about it. In a company that the Black community has been quote unquote boycotting, because I think it's very, and we'll get to that later about can we really consider the Target ban a boycott, and the difference between a boycott and a ban. I want to get into that later when I get to our PSA, but looking at Samara and what she's able to do, it's proof that one, a lot of your faves on that app could be doing a lot more than what they do, right? And that there is a way to have a direct impact on change if that is your goal. But when your goal is just to draw lines in the sand and talk shit and cause more division and attack other people for not doing the things that you think should be being done, but mind you, you aren't doing those things either. You're demanding that someone else do that, but you're not necessarily doing the labor. You're not doing the labor that you're demanding of someone else. I think it was a huge missed opportunity to actually leverage some type of power against Patrick Ta, who this is not his first time, and it more than likely won't be his last, because it's obvious a pattern of anti-Blackness, and there should be demands more than just, Johnny come lately ass apologies that nobody asked for and nobody needed. Patrick, there should be actions that you take that really address the way that you mistreat and devalue Black women in the beauty space. And I wish that we were able to use our power, use our access and our reach to actually make these demands and lay out what these actions can be, than just going after our fave because she didn't show up that day how we wanted her to. I think everybody just needed to go put baby in a corner after this situation. And it was very sad to see the way that it went, knowing that it could, because again, speaking as a strategist, as an activist myself, if this man was able to be moved to the point of making an apology, he could have been moved to the point of actually taking some type of action to rectify and repair the harm that he caused. But that has to come from the people he harmed. And if the people he harmed are more focused on dragging a Black woman because she wasn't on code that day, well, then, hey, he gets to go rub his feet and put together his lazy ass apology, and we still gonna live to be mad and be pissed off yet another day. And I want more for us. I want better for us. And it's examples all around us of how we are more powerful than that, and we can be more powerful than that when we come together and when we actually organize ourselves, and when we stand for some shit instead of just falling for the same okie doke. Because I also think it was a huge distraction. Like, you could see tangibly on the timeline how it went from fuck you, Patrick Todd, to jacket. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. And again, like, I understood people being disappointed, but I also think that some of that hatred and some of that anger was just completely misplaced, and it deserved to be pointed at the person who did the dirt and who actually is responsible and has the power to change not just his brand, but to also challenge some of those practices that are normalized within the larger system. Like, my issue here is that there's such a much bigger system than any one beauty creator, and when we hyper focus on these beauty creators, we completely, and I don't know if it's because we don't think we can challenge the system or because we don't think we can change the system, so we can only leverage our, voices and platforms with the people that we have proximity to. I don't know what it is, but I think we really need to sit down and ask ourselves, who do these dog pals benefit and who do they harm? And in a moment when the harm and the behavior is coming from external, it's coming from outside of the community, how does it benefit the community to turn inward and cause chaos and destruction and division in our community when the harm and the threat is external to our community? The fact that he called it an under eye blush just made it very obvious that this was a direct result of the trend of people putting their blush under their eye because of Painted by Esther. It's also the fact that you had people go and play My Little Spy allegedly so that you can try to copy the technique. And then when you read, when these influencers are reading the pamphlet of how he is telling folks, he's completely abandoned the blush that he's known for to say the techniques that he's known for, which was to fucking put the cream on top of the powder, which I was never doing. That very much so gave a turn the wig around moment. Like, no. I'm not about to put my fucking cream blush on top of my powder blush just because so-and-so's makeup artist told me to. I was never doing that. But he completely abandoned what his signature technique was to pick up something that we know is this girl's technique. And he's still not really, like, owning that. Like, you completely jocked that girl shit. And you wouldn't have even came out with this fucking blush if it wasn't for her. Like, and that's what you need to own. That's what you need to admit. That's what you need to say, because that's what the fucking truth is. Even the little like video he posted on TikTok at the time when this happened, in the caption, it was like, I started working on this blush over a year and some change ago, which still would have been around the same time that Painted by Esther started to trend and started to go viral. So you're still not beating the allegations that you saw the influence and the impact that this girl was having, and you decided to profit off of it and exclude her. Yeah, no, the apology doesn't suffice. And I wish our people was together and on one accord and could focus so that we could actually make some demands of people like Patrick Tar who keep playing in our fucking faces. Moving on to our little media corner, which is the section of my Hot 16 where I talk to y'all about things that I am currently watching, listening to, all of my things that I'm enjoying in the culture right now. Currently, I am rewatching Euphoria. I am on season 3 now. I told y'all in episode 1 that when a show that I love comes out with a new season, I have to go back to season 1, episode 1. I don't care how long I've been watching it. I don't care how many seasons we got. I've done it with Grey's Anatomy before, okay? I'm committed. Okay, this is how my brain works. So I restarted it at the beginning to refresh my memory, and season 2 was so much. I fucking forgot how stressful season 2 was, man. But like, given the way that season 1 was and how it started, how she was just so committed to not being sober and, continuing to abuse her substances, I'm not surprised that season 3 ends how it ends. I said that in the first episode, and just continuing to watch it has really validated why I feel that way. Season 1, the difference between season 2 and season 1 also reminded me of how much pushback and critique the show received for its level of nudity. And I hate to say, I kind of agree with those folks, but without all of the like conservativeness of it all, you can just tell that once they pulled back from the nudity in season 2, they got more into the storytelling, the cinematography got better. Like there was just a lot of things that artistically benefited from them pulling back from all of the nudity that they were showing in season 1. And the show got better, and you know, somebody should do a case study on Euphoria about how a show with really great potential ends up becoming, you know, ending in season 3 and just like really disappointing the fan base in so many ways. Like it seems like the creators of this show was determined to ruin its success and its potential, and they did that. Okay. I'm maybe about 2 or 3 episodes into season 3. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan. Like I'm not. I want to finish it before I get my full thoughts, but I'm really not a big fan. But I will say that season 1 did remind me of why I did fall in love with the show originally when I watched it. Like the way that queerness is so forward, you know, from everybody to the main character to Cal's dad, you know, like everybody in this story has a level of queerness. And even that moment where Maddie is like questioning Nate's sexuality because of things that she's seen in his phone, and her and Cat have that conversation where Cat's just like, you know, nobody's 100% queer, nobody's 100% straight. It's a spectrum. Like the way it's so normalized in their world to talk about these things and to say these things, and everybody just kind of be like, yeah, nobody questions it except for the big dumb jock who it applies to the most, right? But even he gets what Maddie's saying. He just doesn't want to be honest about it. So I really do appreciate Euphoria for that reason, and the way that it shows up and what it gives, and how it normalizes queer language and queer conversations and just queer people in general. But still, the creators and the leadership of that show really ruined it, and it easily had 6-7 season potential. And the fact that it ended in season 3 in such a mixed bag type of way, it's just yeah. I also don't know if I like how they wrote Fed's story. Like, oh, he's in jail for 30 years. I really feel like they should have honored Angus Cloud differently than that, and definitely should have wrote him passing. Like, he got shot in that whole shootout. Like, they could have easily written that he passed and like gave him some type of funeral or something, like, because like Fez is just in jail and we like don't get to see him, we don't get to visit him, he's just written off into prison like that. Like I didn't like that. And that's just one of the things, okay, that I'm not liking about season 3. Like I said, I'm gonna come and give y'all my full download when I finish it. I also watched Eve's Tiny Desk. Oh my god. Oh my god. So good. So fucking amazing. She looks so good. She sounds so good. And this is what I mean. Like, I need the 90s rap artists to come back and reset the standard. Like, there are a lot of y'all favorite rap girls that are never going to do a Tiny Desk because they can't perform without that backing track. They can't perform without not just the backing track, the entire track playing in the background. Like, the quality of Eve's performance, the clarity, the enunciation. She remembers every lyric, every syllable. Like, she's singing and she's rapping, and it's so melodic, but at the same time it has that hard 90s hip-hop texture and sound to it, and it's so beautiful, and it was such a moment. And like, she performed so many of her fucking hits, like was up there like getting down, like it is so good. I'm so glad that Tiny Desk finally gave us a Eve performance, because the people need to be reminded that she is such a pivotal part of what we love about hip hop, especially in the 90s. And she was on a run she was one of those artists who easily transitioned into the early 2000s, because she just started giving us hit after hit. And the more the music got to be creative and explorative, the better for her, because she was able to adapt. And yeah, Eve is such a powerhouse, and her Tiny Desk is so reflective of it. And I can't wait to OD on it. Like I'm definitely gonna rewatch it probably while I'm editing this episode of this podcast. Things that I am currently playing. Rhapsody's God Got an Afro. That's what the fuck I'm talking about, Rhapsody. Like, this is the rap music I want to hear. Everybody is chasing a summer hit. Like, I listened to some new song that YK Nice put out. It's like everybody's chasing a summer hit right now. Nobody just wants to make music. You can tell that the labels and whoever is just like, we need summer hits. We need summer hits. And Rhapsody said, fuck all that. Like, God Got an Afro. Like, it's such a good track. Again, it feels very 90s and it feels incredibly lyrical, which is what you expect from Rhapsody. You're always gonna get a really great lyrical performance. The content, I feel like, is definitely the substance that hip hop needs right now. It's a message that people need to hear. It's encouraging. I'm loving that it's coming out around Juneteenth. It's making me think about Tierra Wax project, Wax Museum that's coming out. I'm still listening to Wax Paper as well, and I just this is my playlist is really enjoying the new music that we're getting from the rap girls right now. And a new track, I think this is also the first of many. I think Rhapsody's also coming out with a new album. I'm gonna have to look that up. I may be wrong about that, but either way, God Got an Afro is amazing. Like, God Got an Afro is just it's a classic. Like, it's not a classic itself, but it riffs off of a classic sound. It could be a classic, has the potential to be a classic, but people don't appreciate Rhapsody the way that they should. So there's that. But I love it. It's gonna go platinum in this house. I know that for sure. I'm also still listening to a lot of Mona Leo. It's got me in a chokehold. Mona Leo got me in a really deep chokehold. Still listening to Vince Staples' Cry Baby. I'm also listening to one of my mutuals on TikTok, Lynn the Bad Guy. Her 10,000 Hours. She got a tape. I think it's the whole tape is called 10,000 Hours, but the title track, 10,000 Hours and Slow Jams. Her flow is so punchline heavy. I love me a punchline heavy rapper, but I also love a rapper with a lot of confidence. The delivery is gonna hit harder when you confident in those punchlines is whacking people, and that is definitely how I would describe Lynn's music. So if you don't know who Lynn is, you need to go find out who Lynn is. Definitely look her up and stream her music. Oh, it's Slow Dreams. So Lynn Slow Dreams. But I think it's got that slow jam sample on it. It's T. It's fire. I'm also just in general been listening to a lot of 90s hip hop since the Jay-Z Roots picnic. It made me get back into his catalog, which made me go back to a lot of the rap music I was listening around that time alongside his music. I've been getting back into old Outkast, right? And just digging deep back into the Fugees and things like that. So a lot of my music, when I'm telling y'all what I'm currently playing and listening to, most of the time it's going to be comfort things. Okay, like I'll pay attention to some new stuff when it's from artists that like intrigue me or artists that stimulate me, but a lot of these motherfuckers don't. And that's just facts. So sometimes, most of the time, a lot of what I'm currently watching or listening to is still gonna be, the shit from past weeks, okay? Because I love a good classic, and I stick to what I know. Because every time I try to venture into something new, my God. I can it be scary, okay? It be scary out there in them streets. But that is going to be it for our Hot 16. Now we are going to move into our rap yap for this week. This week's rap yap, I want to have a critical discussion about how Chicago is way too overlooked and almost damn near erased when it comes to its significance and the contributions that my city has made to hip hop. Chicago has played a very significant role in hip hop even before hip hop was created, but most notably jazz, funk, and blues, right, are often what is cited when we talk about hip hop. And I talked about in our first episode, right, how my cousin reminded me that house music is really a significant foundation to the sound of hip hop and what we understand as hip hop. It's really important to me that Chicago gets more acknowledgement and recognition because it deserves that. So many jazz artists and so many blues artists came to Chicago and developed their sounds. There's so much art and culture that comes out of Chicago in the early 50s and the 60s that you can directly cite as the foundation to hip hop. There is even a lot of people who will argue that one of the first hip hop records was actually recorded here in Chicago at Chess Records, which is so infamous for Muddy Waters and so many other artists who have came to Chicago just to record at Chess Records, but also came to Chicago looking for a sound and looking for a place to share their art. So many artists during the Harlem Renaissance would travel to Chicago to share their art, experience art. And so there's no denying, right, that New York is the birthplace of hip hop, but there's also no denying that regional rap is a real thing and that hip hop wouldn't be the titan that it is today without regional rap. And the South and the West and the Midwest have contributed things that no other region could contribute. And so when I think about the things that Chicago has contributed to hip hop, right, I mainly think about the skill, the technique when it comes to the pace. And I think what is very unique about the way that folks rap fast here in Chicago is that we also tend to rap fast over very melodic beats that tend to be slowed down, that have more of a groove, that borrow from that jazz and that blues pace, right? And that are often reflective of the type of melodic beats that you would find in the South. And I think that is a direct reflection of the Great Migration because you have so many artists coming up from the South, right? And bringing that sound with them and also adapting it to the music and the things that are being developed in this region. And so you'll find so many artists like Do or Die or Twista rapping over these very melodic and groovy beats with a very fast-paced rap. And I was having this conversation again with my cousin before I recorded this episode, and he was making a very strong argument for how, a lot of people, I was telling him that a lot of people in the South credit trap music to a lot of people in hip hop period credit trap music to the South. And he was like, well, you got to think about Bump J and how Bump J came out before a lot of these guys. And Bump J was trap music for Chicago because that's the music niggas was listening to in a trap. And when you think about Bump J sound, it does have a very early trap sound to it. And so when you fast forward to 2010s and drill music explodes, it's no shocker, no surprise, because one, Chicago has always been a place for sound to birth itself. It has always been a place for originality. And while I think it's important that we be mindful of the fact that Chicago hip hop has more to offer than just drill music, Kanye West, and Chance the Rapper, but really those three things are reflective of the deep, rich culture, right? And there's a lot more local artists that people should be talking about, like Crucial Conflict and artists who aren't even that local, like Shauna and Da Brat. Da Brat is the first female solo rap artist to go platinum in the history of hip hop. And so Chicago has had major accomplishments and has had major strides in the hip hop genre. And also what is really great about Chicago is the local talent. There's so many local artists that people would rather listen to and play over any mainstream artist. And so there's an underground scene of hip hop in Chicago that exists where there's a lot of folks, who who frequent these spaces and who are well known in these spaces, and who the city loves. They embody and they maintain that beauty of hip hop being on the ground, close to the people, for the people, and by the people. And I hope that we are able to have more conversations in hip hop about the significance of Chicago, and what it has contributed to the sound, how it's moved the genre forward, and how it will always be a hub for originality and creativity. And I know a lot of people like to put drill music down, but you really have to acknowledge and give credit to the fact that a bunch of teenagers and young people in their early 20s and late teens came together and created something that the entire world was impressed by, and still to this day, so many people are trying to replicate and copy. Like, you got motherfuckers in New York calling what they do in New York drill. You got motherfuckers in the UK, motherfuckers in the UK making drill music, right? And everybody wants to take credit for it, but at the end of the day, everybody know where it originated, and everybody know who started it, and you can never take that from us. And I tell people all the time, listen, anybody making drill music outside of Chicago is just jocking Chicago. I'll never call it UK drill. I'll never call it New York drill. It's drill music that y'all are trying to copy and make your own, but you know where you got it from. So put some respect on that. Regardless of what you want to say about the music and the lyrics and, the substance and the message, it was a way for a lot of those young people to get out of those circumstances and express, their feelings in ways that they had never been able to before. And they created something that was not only profitable, but it was powerful. It was powerful, and it reached all around the world and back. You got to put some respect on that. Put some respect on my city, period, man. Moving on to our PSA. Black folks have been talking about boycotting Asian businesses ever since the killer of the young man named Cyrus was allowed to go free. And I'm here for it. And I've been shopping and been trying to shop and make most of the things in my home Black owned or Black supplied. And now I'm suffering because of it, because I look at my nails. Because look at my nails. I'm suffering because look at my nails. If you watching on YouTube, which if you haven't checked out the Pink Boombox podcast on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. But if you can see my nails, you can see that I need my nails done. And the reason why I wasn't able to get them done before recording this podcast was because my nail shop that I go to is Black owned, and there's no availability until the end of the month, because the girls want to go to Black owned nail shops now. But I've been going to a Black owned nail shop, and I get, as a community, I understand that we need to come together and ban businesses outside of our community. I understand why y'all doing that, but what about what I need? What about what's best with me? What about how I feel? What about me? What about the fact that I've been going to I'm sorry, but there should be some priority for the people that's been going to the Black owned businesses. Like, y'all flooding. So please, if there's some availability, somebody please DM me. But in all seriousness, I saw a take from Deontay Kyle, and he was saying that it's not a boycott, it's a ban, which I agree with. If we're saying that we're no longer going to shop at certain businesses, then that is a ban. That's not a boycott. And I also saw some discourse behind another creator on TikTok that I have blocked, okay, because he basically was trying to discourage people, I guess, from this ban, and or what people have been calling a boycott. And the reason why I have him blocked is because a lot of what he was doing in that take where he really talks over people and not at people and not with people, and it definitely gives you think you the smartest nigga in the room and you not even the most intelligent nigga in the corner that you're in. And that's my take on him, period. He was saying some things that is true, and is mainly about the fact that people need to learn how to get organized, right? And people need to actually learn the difference from what a boycott and a ban is. And we've got to understand that boycotts are more than just we're not going to shop here anymore, right? And boycotts should have demands, right? What I was saying earlier about Samara and Target, the black community has been, banning Target or boycotting Target for years and hasn't really, and far as I can tell, made any clear demands. And if they have, they definitely haven't been met, right? But Samara was able to get Target to make a significant change just by, engaging with the way that she does, both with her audience, her platform, and most importantly, being consistent, right? The work that Samara does with her platform isn't a one-off thing. Every opportunity she has to advocate for her cause and for what she's fighting for, she takes that opportunity, she creates those opportunities, right? And if these boycotts or bans even are ever going to actually build the political power that they can build, we are going to have to go about them in a way that is effective and not performative, which means that we are going to have to be organized and we are going to have to be educated around these things. It really pained me to watch people bring up the Montgomery bus boycott the way that they do, and they will mainly bring it up to be like, oh well, they fought for a whole year, but people don't talk about all of the things that went into maintaining the community in that whole year, the work and the effort that mainly black women put into sustaining that boycott, right? You just can't say, oh, we ain't shopping at this place and not do anything to educate people on other options, other vendors, other places they could shop, to make sure that people are continuing to be engaged. The momentum is continuing to build and be maintained. There's a lot of work that goes into what we call direct action, right? And a boycott is a direct action. A direct action is supposed to be something that challenges the system, and with the ultimate goal of bringing about direct change, right? And so it's steps that we take and tactics that we strategize around in order to actually bring about change. And we can do that. As I was saying earlier, if more of us was about doing the work of advocacy, if more of us was about being our own leaders instead of waiting on a leader or not wanting to be a leader, and so that gives room to people like what's that bald head pastor man that called himself trying to call an end to the Target boycott? Jamal, was it Bryant something? I don't know, but people like that are able to swoop in and try to present themselves as leaders when people don't empower themselves, right? And I think it's really important, especially if we're going to learn from the lessons of the movements and the people that have came before us that have been effective and that did lead these actions, resulted in the things that they resulted in. I think one of the biggest lessons from the civil rights movement is that these huge figureheads exalting these different leaders created big weak spots in our movements for people to not only be targeted, attacked, incarcerated or assassinated, and that created a destabilization in the movement, in the work that so deeply depended on these individuals and their visibility, right? Again, it's the same lesson that I was saying earlier. when we place so much on one person or one individual, that creates an opportunity for nothing to get done. It also creates an opportunity for weakness, and it creates an opportunity for everybody else to be disempowered, and for the work to ultimately not be getting done the way that it needs to be. And so I encourage people to boycott, to shop black owned. And you can do that while also encouraging people that capitalism isn't going to save us, and that black faces in hot places ain't going to save us. There's a lot of them on that app who, make it seem like they want revolution, but then don't actually know how to talk to people. And don't and are more so just about the theory of the things. And that's why I'm always going to tell people that theory without practice is useless. People get theorize about freedom but can't actually be a part of the building of it. I would rather take somebody who is willing to do the work and to help build the things over somebody who can talk to me and talk my ear off about theory for hours and hours and hours. The movement doesn't need more theory bros. You ain't doing shit. trying to find a nice way to say you niggas ain't doing shit, but talking to people and talking over people, talking past people, and don't nobody want to hear that. You're not actually, it's like this. You're guilty of a lot of the things that you are charging other people with. You're not building shit. You're not doing shit effectively. You just running your motherfucking mouth and not offering solutions. There are ways for us to get these things done. One of the main ways for us to get these things done is for people to start tapping in with folks who offer organizing training, right? For people who offer political education work, to start creating also spaces for that to happen, right? So if there's a group of people in your community who want to boycott Asian businesses in your community, what spaces are you creating for them? How can they communicate? How can they connect with each other? And how are you going to support people making those connections, right? And how can we encourage people to do that without discouraging people in a way that basically makes them feel like they don't got no power and they shouldn't do shit but just sit around and vote in the next election? We have got to be more imaginative if we are actually going to live in a world free from the oppression that we face in this one. We have got to imagine it. We got to see it. And then we got to believe that we can actually make it real. And then we got to do the work to make it real. We're going to wrap up our show today with a YoV submission. I want to make a correction because I told y'all in the first episode, I gave y'all the wrong email in the first episode. So if you want to be heard on this podcast, whether it be requesting advice from me, getting my take on a subject that I haven't spoken on yet, or if you want to give me your feedback on one of my takes that you may agree or disagree with, you can hit me up at Big V, BIG, the letter V, at pinkboomboxpodcast.com. Someone hit me up and said, "Yo V, I've seen you mention on your TikTok that you are no contact with your family members. I recently have been thinking about going no contact with my sister. It's a really hard decision for me to make because I come from a really big black family, and I don't know if going no contact with my sister is going to be something that is going to go well with everyone, although it is something that I think is going to be best for me. All me and my sister do is fight. Sometimes it gets physical, and I'm just exhausted from that. And I think that going no contact may be the only way for us to resolve these issues. If you could speak a little bit more about your choice to go no contact and mostly how you navigate living your life post the decision to actually go no contact, it would really be helpful for me. Funny enough, you asked me this. This was definitely something I was going back and forth about whether or not I actually wanted to talk about on my podcast, but here we are. So as you mentioned, I have been no contact with my mom and with my brother and a good amount of my family for, I want to say, since 2020. It's been since I made that decision and been consistent about it. But truthfully, probably been the last decade of my life that I went back and forth about whether or not to make that decision. It is a really hard decision to make. Like you, I come from a really big family. My mom is one of 8. I have 20 first cousins, the oldest of 2, and me and my sibling are only a year apart. And I grew up in a space where, we were very close knit and we did a lot together. But I think the thing that just came down to it was, like you said, for me, it was a lot of the, issues and the arguments getting physical. And once it got to a place of physical violence for me, like a place where I wasn't safe in my home, I just realized that it wasn't going to end until somebody got really severely hurt. And I didn't want that person to me. I also didn't want to be that person that had to severely hurt one of my family members. And, I think ever since I made that decision, it came with a lot of grief. A lot of grief. You grieve things like my birthday, or just like celebrations, or things that I wish I could include these people in, but ultimately they're not a part of my life anymore. And so I can't. And knowing that that is the best decision for all of us, I think is the most painful thing, is knowing that it's not going to work out, because I spent so much time wanting it to work out, and thinking that it could, and putting in effort. And I don't think I was the only one putting in effort. I think there's been times where my mom has definitely tried to make things work. I think she just doesn't know how, and also doesn't want to learn how. And part of, I think it just got to a point where I had to really accept her for who she is, and accept me for who I am. I think it was really about accepting me for who I am, and knowing what's not going to work for me and what I can't tolerate. I kept wanting myself to be able to accept, and to be able to deal with, and to be able to live with those things. And you think, when you making that decision, that it's about the other person, but when you really start to live with it, you start to learn that it's really about you. Like, because the only thing you can control in this life is you. So if you can't show up, and some people can accept those things, and I'm not looking down on those people. Like, some people can tolerate being treated a certain type of way, and stomach it, and there were a lot of times where I wish I could, and I tried to be that person, and I just can't. And I had to be honest about who I am, and that also required me to be honest about who I'm who I was trying to be in relationship with, and who I was trying to maintain a connection to. And I think something that my therapist has helped me really practice is creating new traditions. Traditions were a big thing for me, and not being able to maintain some of those traditions, disconnecting myself from a lot of our collective larger family traditions, meant that I had to create new ones and develop my own. And there was pain and grief in that, but then there was also triumph and celebration and happiness. And so I think really figuring out you, and what's best for you, and what is going to work for you, is the number one thing you do. And also being confident in your decision making, and trusting yourself, and focusing on the relationship that you have with you, and prioritizing the relationship that you have with yourself. And out of building a better relationship with yourself will come opportunity to build better relationships with other people. But you got to be right with you first, friend. You got to be right with you first. And that is something else that I had to come to terms with. I wasn't right with me, and I was trying to get right with everybody else instead of getting right with me. And once I started to get right with me, I started to realize it's actually not even a priority to get right with nobody else. Like, I just want to keep focusing on getting right with me and the people who are good for me. I didn't even have to find them. I didn't have to, they were just there. And so, yeah, stripping down everything and focusing on you and building the relationship that you have with yourself, being confident in your decision, creating, not being afraid to create new traditions and new celebrations and new ways to take care of yourself and to live your life and to still have those feelings of, joy. You can still have those things, right? And that is what you'll get to at some point, and that's what I hope you get to at some point, is learning that some of the things that you were grieving, some of the things that you thought you couldn't have because you let go of so and so, you can still have those things. You can still have those things, but you got to get right with you first, and then you can enjoy those things. You'll see that they were always right there waiting for you to enjoy them. I really hope that helped. And again, if y'all want to be heard on this podcast, you can submit your YoV entries to BIG, the letter V, big V, at pinkboomboxpodcast.com. And with that, y'all, that is the end of episode 2 of the Pink Boombox podcast. And we are going to wrap this up just like we did the first episode. Every episode, we're going to wrap it up with me kicking one of my favorite verses. I feel like Mariah Carey got these niggas so obsessed. My pussy so famous, might get managed by Kris Jenner next. He can't move on, can't let it go. Hook no sweater that Tina Snow. Since niggas need Megan help make money, bitch, come be my hoe. All you bitches, we on the Bible. Talking shit for I know what could find you. I could never be judged by a bitch that was dancing, making R. Kelly go viral. I'm sexy as fucking, I'm freaky. You whoever I want, any meanie. Why the fuck would I stay with a nigga that's weak in the sheets and don't know how to please me?